In this presentation, we will be looking at how TimeControl integrates with BrightWork. HMS Software is the publisher of the enterprise timekeeping software TimeControl. Based in Montreal, Canada, HMS has extensive experience in the project management and project control industry, as well as the capture of time and labor data. HMS has partnered with several companies over the years, including Microsoft and Oracle, and we have been a partner with BrightWork since 2017. In this presentation, we will show the integration between BrightWork and TimeControl. BrightWork is a SharePoint-based project management solution. Projects are created in BrightWork and are shared with TimeControl along with the task assignments. The effort that is expended on each task is recorded in TimeControl by the employee or the contractor using a simple web-based interface or a mobile app. Once the data has been captured and approved, the progress is returned to BrightWork. There are a number of additional benefits to TimeControl. TimeControl provides a single point of entry for all types of time, including project time, human resource time, such as vacation or sick leave, overhead tasks such as meetings, travel, training, or other types of non-project work. There's no need to run additional timesheet systems. Once all the time data is captured, TimeControl can share this data with your corporate systems, including HR, finance, payroll, or other corporate systems. Time data that is complete and accurate is of the utmost importance to an organization. TimeControl provides a robust, flexible approval process to support this requirement. This includes multiple levels and stages of approvals, missing timesheet identification and notification, and a fully auditable process for making corrections to previous timesheets. TimeControl also provides connectivity to multiple systems simultaneously in order to support mixed environments. TimeControl supports the diverse time requirements typically found within an organization with a simple, easy-to-use interface. We'll now have a quick overview of TimeControl and how we connect to BrightWork. We're going to start our software demonstration by having a very brief look at BrightWork. Within BrightWork, we've created several projects. We have tasks excuse me, with the projects, including the hardware upgrade hardware, sales department, marketing, and so on, as well as some other projects. If I flip over to TimeControl, on the left-hand side is all my various options for TimeControl. This is looking at it from the perspective of the timesheet administrator. One of the administrator functions is my project management import. So I've previously run the import of the project information from BrightWork. So we've connected to BrightWork. We brought all of the information for the individual tasks, and they appear in my charge table. And if I go to my charge table for my project upgrade, hardware upgrade, I have my hardware upgrade in the finance department and in the marketing department and the sales department. So now all my tasks are in TimeControl, and if I switch users, I'm going to log out of TimeControl as the administrator, and I'm going to relog in as my end user, Ann Wallace. So Ann is an end user. Her interface is going to be a little bit different. What Ann is going to see is only functions that we need her to use to enter timesheet. So she's got some timesheet options, and she's got some reporting options. If I go to the timesheet entry screen, and I say add a new timesheet. So it's going to say, great, what's the next week? We're working in a 7-day cycle. I'm going to say add for the week ending of Saturday, July 20th. I say, great, go ahead and create that timesheet. It's going to take the assignments that Anne was given through BrightWork, which were transferred over into TimeControl, and we have the hardware upgrade for the finance, and all of the tasks that we looked at in BrightWork have been transferred over into the TimeControl onto Ann Wallace's timesheet. And I simply say, great, for hardware upgrade, we did 4 hours on Monday and Tuesday. For the sales department, for the finance department, we did 4 hours in the sales department. On our new project, we did 4 hours on Wednesday and 2.5 hours on the SharePoint project, and we did 4 hours there, and we'll just keep going and adding the time for the various work that we did, and we'll say that we did 4 hours on this project, and we'll apply that. Now you'll notice that I made a deliberate error on the timesheet, and instead of 2.5 hours, I put 25 hours. And the reason I did that is so I can show you what's called the validation rules. If I click on my Analyze button, it'll check my business rules and say that I've got actually 2 errors. I have more than 24 hours on a day, and certain days don't have a total of 8 hours. So I'm going to change this to 2.5, so it'll be happy. And I will put another 4 hours on there, and on Friday we're going to say that I took a half a day of vacation. So you have the ability to go into TimeControl and add additional line items. In this case, I've got overhead. I'm going to select my overhead category, and I'm going to say for my overhead category, I have personal time off. I'm going to say put in 4 hours personal time off, and I'm going to apply that. And the validation rules should be fine. If I run my Analyze, it'll recheck the validation rules. So I've got all my project work. I've got my 8 hours of sales upgrade, hardware upgrade in the sales department, plus the other work that I did. So I will release this timesheet to the supervisor who's going to be approving the timesheet. In this case, it's going to be my timesheet administrator. I will release that, and then once I'm happy with it, then I can transfer it over back to BrightWork as progress. So let me log out of here. I'm going to re-log in as my timesheet administrator. The timesheet administrator has the ability to log in on behalf of other people. In this case, I'm just going to say log in as himself, and I'm back where we started from. So if I go back to BrightWork for a moment, we say sales department, it's got 52 hours, and we have some progress ready to go back, and I'm going to say go to my PM export. It says what project, so I'm going to say run it now. So I could run it as a schedule, or I could run it as a on demand, as I'm doing now. I'm going to say take the hardware upgrades project standard, transfer those actuals over to to BrightWork. So we are now transferring the actual data that we recorded in TimeControl back to BrightWork as progress against Ann Wallace as the assignment. If I go back to BrightWork and refresh the screen for Ann Wallace, you will see that we have added time to the sales department task based on the progress that we captured in TimeControl. So let me go back to TimeControl and show you a couple of other things that might be of interest to you. First of all, if I go into the as the administrator, we have an ability for a project manager to validate data prior to it going back to BrightWork. We also have an ability for to export data to places like payroll or financial control or billing using our export function. If there was an error on the timesheet, we can go in and do an auditable correction using our debit credit function. So the debit credit allows me to take a timesheet out of our history and make an adjustment to it. And here's an example of what one would look like. We had new project and for Ann Wallace on the in this particular timesheet, and we said, no, I'm sorry, that's a mistake. So take those hours out. So I put in an additional line item that says -4 hours out, and I put an equivalent number of hours, 4 hours, into, in this case, into training. The original timesheet entry was done by Ann Wallace, and the correction, the adjustment, was done by the timesheet administrator. So if I submit that back to BrightWork or to any other system that has shared data with TimeControl, then that correction will be passed back, and I have an audit trail of when the correction was made, what was the data prior to the correction, and what was it changed to, as well as who made the corrections. If I go back momentarily to my task tables, in addition to the work from BrightWork, the task information out of BrightWork, we also have, in this example, overhead categories for things like travel and training and illness, vacation leave, whatever types of data I wish. And for my vacation, I'm actually tracking that against the bank. If I go back to Gail as my employee, go back to my employee table, I can look at the bank information for Gail, or I'm sorry, for Ann Wallace. If I go to Ann and say, look at banks, we have illness hours, personal time hours. She has 105 hours available to her for this year. She's taken 16. She has 88 hours left. From a reporting perspective, there's a very rich array of reports available to within TimeControl to augment what is available in BrightWork. One of the things that we're very cognizant of within TimeControl is, do I have all of the timesheets? So there's a couple of ways of tracking that down. As an administrator, I can do a missing timesheet report and say, hey, these timesheets are missing. The one for July 14th has been started and it's currently owned by Ann Wallace. The rest of them are missing. So a high degree of visibility of stuff that is missing. I can augment that process to make sure I have everything by setting up electronic email notifications that will query the system and send out reminders to people to say, hey, it's the end of the period, don't forget to do your timesheet, or your timesheet is now late. We know who you are, so please finish it. We have our time control report interface, which is a very rich .NET based reporting tool where I would create a report template using the report generating tool. And once I create the template, depending on the security provisions I have available to me, my security settings, I can see the report and run it. In this case, I'm running a report that says has a graphic attached to it. It's going to want to know, what do I want to include on that report? So I have a filter based on a date range. I say go ahead and anything from the beginning of the year. And here I have a graphic at the top with a pie chart that says percentage of work depending on what project we worked on, and then a summary level that says, okay, for the hardware upgrade, Eamon McGinnis did 20 hours and Wallace did 73. And if we have costing set up, then we have the ability to do that. So that type of reporting is available to you. These reports can be saved as an Excel or exported as a PDF as a variety of formats. The other reporting tool we have available is more of a tactical kind of tool, and that's our drill down analyzer. We start with a list of columns from my template. So here I've got project name and charge code and the employee and rates and stuff. If I load that, again, it'll say what filter condition do I want to apply. And here's the list of the data. Well, what I can do, it works like a pivot table. It's like, well, okay, well, I want to group it by project. So I simply drag the project heading up, and it'll say, great, for my new phase project, here's everybody who did work on it, and Wallace did certain amount of work. For overheads, this is what our overheads worked. I can say, well, great, I want to have an additional column grouping, and say group it by the by not only project but also the employee, so I get a grouping like that. It's very easily edited, and again, depending on my security systems, I will see more or less data. If I go into my administration menu, one of the powerful things that we have within Time Control is a series of data filters, and they're all custom created, so you can create your own data filters. And if I go to my timesheet entry filters, and I go to I have a filter set on my charge table that it gets applied to the employee that says, well, if the charge status is not closed, then you're able to see it, or you're not able to see it. So here I'm restricting items that I can have on my pick list when I'm adding line items to my timesheet based on a charge status, and you can do it at the task level as well as at the project level. So you could say, well, Anne only works on engineering projects, so anything that's identified as an engineering project, then she's going to see that, and other stuff she's not going to be able to see. We use the filtering for the validation rules. So here I have a rule that says your timesheet hours must be greater than a certain number of minutes. It's 1,440 minutes. It's the equivalent of 8 hours. If I go to my validation rule, I can apply those filters to various employee groups. And so here's minimum 8 hours a day. It says that I'm using the validation clause filter. The minimum 8 hours a day is not true, and I create an error message that says you have to have a minimum of 8 hours a day. And that was the error that we saw on the timesheet when we first did it. Your subscription or purchase of TimeControl also includes a TimeControl mobile app, and it is available for either Android or Apple devices, available on the Apple Store or the Google Store. You can record your basic time entry, the hours against your tasks, as well as expenses and notations, and share that information back with the main time control system. In this presentation, we've given you a very brief overview of what time control has to offer. If you'd like to schedule a more in-depth presentation, online presentation, our sales staff at HMS are available to do that. And please feel free to reach out to us. You can get additional information from our website at timecontrol.com, about HMS software at hms.ca. You can contact us by email at info@hms.ca. And if you'd like to try time control, you can connect to our free trial at freetrial.timecontrol.com. And if you're interested in further information about BrightWork and how we integrate with time control, you can go to brightwork.com partners/solution and check out their solution page. So thank you very much for looking at our video. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to us.